Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to teach you how to get the Nessie win end screen. So that's what I'm showcasing on screen right now. And it's not as difficult as one may think actually. And we're going to go through the steps right now. So the Nessie end screen I think is probably one of the most fun Easter eggs in the game. And to really get the Nessie, it's pretty easy actually, just to actually get things rolling. So essentially what you want to do is navigate your way over to North Pylon. Now, once you are here in North Pylon, what you got to do is you're going to take a zip up. Once you take your zip up here, you're going to go cut over to the right. Now, there's multiple Nessies, and all you have to do is have one of your teammates have a Nessie. Now, each of them can hold one. There's about 3 or 4 in this room. So you may see the big ones that you can look at. You can't pick up those, but you can pick up the other ones that are located in the room. So there's one in the center, there's one on the far right, and there's one as well on the left. So all you got to do is grab these Nessies, and then the harder part of this, the end part, is really you have to win. So now once you win, you will, I guess, pretty much trigger this end screen. So I guess it's really the part where you have to start to sweat because you actually have to win in pubs. So I guess if you want to do this in a group, it's more ideal because you increase your chances of winning so you can see the end screen. You don't necessarily have to sweat it out. I also think that they're really adorable because they make noises whenever you drop them. I think that's really cool. They do take an inventory slot, so make sure that you have at least a larger bag just to carry the Nessie. But you don't necessarily have to spawn here as well, and that's what we're going to do. I'm going to create an educational commentary now over the gameplay of winning and talk about what we did in terms of how we won and so forth. So what we're going to do, let's segue now to that portion now that you know how to do it. We'll talk about some tips and how you can win. And unfortunately, yeah, you're going to have to sweat just a little bit because the intention is to win now, which I guess can incentivize you and your teammates to win. So let's take a look at that. Let's go to the beginning of this gameplay and let's break that down. So I guess what's interesting that you don't necessarily need to drop exactly on Pylon to get this, right? You can drop really far away and you can navigate your way towards this. Now, the reason why you don't necessarily want to drop Pylon is just in case somebody's also trying to do the same trick, and you can work your way over whenever there's not a lot of chaos there. Because it is a new POI, it is going to be a lot more, congested. There's going to be a lot more people there. So if you land somewhere else and you rotate there later, you're going to increase your chances of getting the Nessie and then getting out. Now you could just sneak in as well, grab the Nessie and then rotate if you want to do that as well. So that is an option. Now you can do this in duos and trios, and you can do this as well as in rank, but it's only doable on Storm Point. Now that's one of the biggest tips. Now, I guess you could say everything matters in terms of that point if you're going to win. So I guess just play with your squad, play with your team. You don't necessarily have to sweat it out. You'll notice in this commentary, yeah, I was playing with a friend, but we're not using any comms, which can be a really good exercise, by the way, to where you just pay attention to your teammate and play with them and be close together in terms of just have general game sense. You don't necessarily always have to comm every single thing. You cannot have any communication going on and then still understand where your teammate is rotating and where they are going. It kind of helped with this video because I wanted to do an educational commentary, not flood it with, nonstop background commentary. So I think it's a good educational video if you're playing with randoms, and then just know that you need to play together, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to skip a little bit ahead. Oh, whoa, we actually ran into somebody here. Conduit's also fantastic. Making sure, here's another conduit tip. Make sure that you heal not before they take damage, unless you know they're about to, and really after the fact. And that really does help in terms of ensuring that you get maximize your heal. Also, another tip for Conduit is to make sure that you drop your armors for your teammate because they're going to get more benefit out of having the better armor because you heal your teammate more than you heal yourself. Your teammate gets healed for 16 shield per second and you get healed for 8 shield per second. So just a little tip there that most people don't remember. And let's go to segue now to the action. So what we're going to do is that we segue to the south. We essentially did it more casually to where like, okay, well, we'll just keep playing and we'll always rotate towards Pylon at some point and grab the Nessie so we had it for the end game. But you don't necessarily have to just keep dropping hot on it and it's just a general tip just to make sure that you know that it's not like you have to go there right away. You have time. You don't have to stress. Keep it low key. Enjoy the game. Have fun. You don't necessarily have to just keep sweating. And yes, winning, it means that you're going to have to sweat a little bit. But I'm just trying to incentivize the fact of fun while you're doing this Easter egg. It's just like a little fun incentive and a fun challenge, right? And we ping it. You see, now we're going to go over there because I even said that the intention was to rotate there at some point. Let's go and skip to the next fight. We have plenty of time to rotate too, which is also the benefit. And keep in mind, we're not afraid necessarily to fight. We're kind of just, taking it as it is, playing casually where the fights do happen. You could go to zone and play more patient once you have the Nessie. I have way too many cells and I realize that, so I dropped a A lot of them. Sometimes ideally you would like to carry more grenades. That would be a good tip. Oh, there we go. And there's a knock. And we essentially can push for free at this point. Getting those knocks, and then you got to really push on them if you intend to shoot. Here's another tip for those, especially if you intend to fight. Don't shoot if you don't intend to fight, because then you're just going to call presence to yourself. You know, call that trigger discipline, right? And I couldn't get up at this point, but luckily Solara was able to pretty much clutch it up. I was able to at least provide a heal, and I couldn't get up. She had it. Wasn't too stressed. I'm also excited to share in this gameplay is the ending where we clutched up on our own, which I thought was really, really cool. Now we're going to segue over, and we covered how to get the Nessie, right? Oh, we actually get jumped right here. Let's take a look here. Now, another tip is if you look straight down with Conduit, it is helpful because the ultimate spreads out underneath your feet. I put a wall down there. It takes a lot of time to deploy, and you can use it to try to gate. There's a good timing on the heal. This was very aggro of me to kind of push, and I get caught off guard, and I just whiff. Luckily, Solara clutches it out, and I'm literally just pretty much a meat shield. That's a good tip for when you're playing with teammates. Sometimes you may whiff, and sometimes your teammates may whiff, and they work as perfect meat shields for you. Now, luckily, I do end this as kill leader and everything, and, I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. So don't stress if you aren't necessarily landing your shots. I mean, at that point, you can be the meat shield instead of your teammate instead. So let's skip further ahead. Now, as we're rotating here, we do see that there was a res that happened. I'm a little further up than my teammate, and it's a little hard to get up from this angle without the door. So a little tip is that you can extend the doors out to climb on top of them to get into higher, to reach places. So essentially, you could slow this down, and I'm paying attention because we don't necessarily have comms going. So we're paying attention slowly based on their positioning, as if you're playing with a random. Good ult out, paying attention to the ult. And then just waiting for it to cross out so then you can make a play, and then healing up. Healing and being reactive is very much like playing World of Warcraft with Conduit. If you're quick on it, then you will massively benefit from it. Oh, am I going to get this? Nice, and there's just one more. At that point, I just go for it, which is good. I mean, sometimes you have to decide whether to heal or whether to do damage, and then if your teammate pulls focus, then you can move in and then, you know, finish it up because they don't have focus on you. I call it my rules of engagement. Did you do significant damage? Did you get a knock? Are they focused on something else such as a third party or your teammate? Meaning when can you push and show a little disrespect and not necessarily always have to use cover? Ideally, you always want to use cover, but you know, just a little tip. And this Easter egg is just one of those things where, I mean, regardless of your opinion, if you're trying really hard to win because you want to see the Easter egg, then you're going to have to just apply a little bit of sweat because you know, it matters that you win at that point, which could be good and bad. Oh, my teammate shot me. I remember I freaked out thinking, I was like, who shot me? And it doesn't say I have comms, so just kind of winging it. So in this portion here, this is what we discussed about grabbing the Nessie. So we came over here, we got a little time recording, and then we got to rotate to zone because, you know, we're going to be late on the rotation. Now what happens here is that we rotate all the way from Pylon, and it takes us quite a bit of time just to even get all the way over here, to be honest. By the time we get here, you know, there's definitely going to be teams. There's only 5 teams remaining, and this is where we get a bulk of our damage actually in, because I believe I end this whole round with around 2,800 damage, which is anything crazy, and we get 11 kills, which isn't, you know, the worst thing ever. A good way to pad your stats for a 4K, and I will do a guide on getting 4,000 damage on Conduit. That's definitely planned, so comment down below if you want to see that video. I definitely plan on posting that and working on that as well. Got to farm a little more damage. The closest I've got is like 3,000, so we just got a little bit of RNG and a little bit of time. Check your doors before you go in. You never know where somebody's ratting. And we talk about people who are sweating. You never know who's just ratting in a corner, who's a solo, which does happen. It's very strange. Maybe they had a Nessie. I doubt it because we had all 3 of them. And I guess if you want to grief other people from not having the Nessie, a little tip is just carry all of them. Because I think the reason why they put so many in there and you only need 1 is because, you know, hey, you got to make sure that maybe other people want it as well. Longbow's fantastic for farming damage. And once the damage is there, I mean, we should have scooted up a little bit faster. And I should have healed a little bit more, thinking that they're going to repeak. But most of the time, people don't really repeak that. Also, tomorrow, I'm going to do a video on the rarest animation for Conduit on the channel. And we got it on stream. So you don't see it here. She does the heart shape. She does, you know, just a standard one. But she also does the ooh-woo animation, which we got on stream. And I definitely want to make a video on it. So that's going to be our next one that we're going to do tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. That one won't be as long as this one. I'm just going to highlight the animation, showcase a squad wipe that we got it, that was a part of, and then try to see if we can get it within a timely manner, because it does take a while to get it. And then boom, there we go. So at this point, all we got to do is rotate. There's only 2 squads remaining. And usually when you reach this point of the lobby, this is when it gets the most sweaty, depending on your MMR. Most of the time at this point, people who are playing the game pretty much know what they're doing, unless there's just a rat remaining, or they're just hunkered down in zone with really bad armors. But most of the time at this point, people really know what they're doing. So as we rotate here, we are looking for them. But unfortunately, Solara does take quite a bit of damage here and does go down, and then it's up to me to pretty much clutch. And this is where we can give some tips whenever you're kind of playing solo and how to bait teams over. And I'm looking in different areas, and I finally realize, and this is where the passive I get to try to use to catch up a little bit. I think this will be some really helpful tips right here. I know it's just pubs, but at the same time, oh, yeah, there you go. Fortunately, can't go over the lip right here. I try to res, because we do have a little bit of time, but the other team on the far right does appear there. And yeah, that's really, really unfortunate. I should have actually went down here, but they did whiff. And I got pretty lucky there, I'm gonna be honest. So now at this point, all we can do is just pretty much wait and see if we can find a mistake, because I'm not gonna be able to res right out in the open. Even if I drop, there's the 2 people on the left and there's a team across. So the chances of getting the res here is pretty much next to none. Unless they're able to give me a little bit more time, which we try to do. We almost get the Pathfinder here by putting a bit of pressure. There's a crack, there's flush. We just need one more shot, and then right when we took the shot, we have to reload, which is very unfortunate. So this is where, if you're in it, I guess you could say duos or even trios, is that you got to get the other 2 teams to really fight. And that can be a little hard. And so the only thing you can do sometimes is rotate and take a different angle. When you take a different angle, it can be very beneficial. And there they go. And there's no beacon anywhere, by the way, so I can't res. And we don't have any Mobies to res it as well, so I pretty much take the remaining bit of resources, and then at that point, I have to clutch out. Which luckily we do, you know, it's spoilers. We'll talk about how. We got one that's pushing up. They drop really, really close. Got a little greedy there on the last few shots, but then we rotate. Now, the reason why I decided to rotate is because I know that there's a team right underneath, and I want to go to zone because it closes in 14 seconds. I don't necessarily want to be the center of attention quite yet. I'd rather them just fight, which is what they do. Get ready. Yep, there they are. So they're fighting, and then I need to get involved. I don't go further into zone. I need to fight them at this point. And the reason why you have to fight is because at least the zone will be on their back, and because there is knocks, this is your moment to capitalize, right? This is where you need to put pressure. Those are the timings that a lot of players tend to be afraid to push on. And I think that if people just go for it, even if you're too afraid, that you'll maximize on. So Peacekeeper's treating me well. Really good damage here. Now we got to do is finish up the Wraith, which we do. And the last person does have a knock, so I know that's a solo. So we finish that up, and then we got to go right back. We got plenty of bats, plenty of resources. Now we just got a clean 1v1. Now we just need for them to make a mistake. Once we wait for them to make a mistake, peeking back and forth. 72. There it is. And at that point, we pretty much win that. So GG's. Now, this is where you're going to see the Nessie end screen right here. And then we'll wrap up the video. Tomorrow, we'll do the rarest conduit animation. Really happy that we got it. And then we'll wrap up. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And of course, we'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye, everybody.